जगतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So last week we were discussing the fourth canto, seventh chapter, Lord Vishnu's instructions to Daksha Prajapati. So Lord Vishnu was giving the final instructions. Lord Vishnu said that I am the supreme cause of the universe. I am the witness of everything. And I myself, I, Brahma and Shiva are non-different from each other. Situated in my energy composed of the gunas, creating, maintaining and destroying the universe, I only take on names according to the activity. The ignorant person sees difference between the jivas and me. Such an ignorant person, they see difference between jivas and me. What to speak of seeing difference between Brahma, Shiva and me? My devotee does not see difference between himself and all living beings. Just as a person does not differentiate between the himself and his various limbs such as head and hand. So for 54th shloka, that's what I think we have to start. Somebody can repeat. Trayanam eka bhavanam yona pashyati vaibhidam sarva bhutatmanam brahman sashantimadhigacchati.
The Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme and who knows Brahman actually realizes peace. Others do not.
So here Lord Vishnu is concluding Trayanam eka bhavanam. The person who does not see difference between the three of us, the soul of all beings, who have one nature, such a person only attains peace. sa shantim adhigacchati. So, the result of seeing non-difference is stated here. Such a person attains peace. So, oftentimes people overemphasize oneness or overemphasize difference. Emphasizing the difference, when people see the living entities to be different from the Supreme Lord, or here Brahma and Shiva to be different from the Supreme Lord, then such people, they tend to exploit or they tend to disrespect other living entities or other devatas. Daksha Prajapati is a devotee of Vishnu, but he saw Lord Shiva to be different from Vishnu. Therefore, he disrespected Lord Shiva. Just like, for example, if a child is going along with the father, will somebody else dare to attack the child? No. Because one sees that, oh, this child belongs to this father. Because the child, he's seeing the child in connection with the father, he will not attack that child. But if a person sees the child separately and he doesn't know, like he doesn't see the connection between the child and the father, then he thinks that he can beat that child. So similarly, when a person sees either a devata or a living entity as an amsha, as a part of the Supreme Lord, then one will not disrespect that living entity or the devata. Only when we see that living entity or a devata to be different from the Supreme Lord, then a person thinks of disrespecting that person, living entity or the devata. So therefore, because nothing in this world is disconnected from the Supreme Lord. Ritirtam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tam vidyad atmano yogam yata baso yata tamaha. This is the second verse of the Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me just read the translation for you. Pratirtam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. What is Maya? That which is perceived when the Bhagavan is not seen, or that which is not perceived when Bhagavan is seen, or that which is perceived as external to Bhagavan, or that which does not manifest independently without Bhagavan. That is called Maya. So, when you see a devata to be independent of Bhagavan, here specifically Vishnu is telling to Daksha, because you didn't see the connection between Shiva and me, therefore you disrespected Shiva. And then another extreme is that seeing the oneness in all respects. Seeing the oneness in all respects. Brahma and Shiva are identical with Vishnu in all respects. That is another extreme. Where people, that is the Advaitavada conception, Mayavad conception, where a person thinks the living entity be one with the Brahman in all respects. So here, when Vishnu is speaking that one who does not see difference between me, Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, such a person alone attains peace. Others do not attain peace. Does it mean Vishnu is talking about oneness in all respects? No, he is not speaking about oneness in all respects. This is what is called a Satkaryavada. Brahma and Shiva, they are dependent on Bhagavan, Vishnu, but Vishnu is not dependent on Brahma and Shiva. Brahma and Shiva, because they are energies of Vishnu, they come from Vishnu. Shaktir Shaktimatam Abeda. There is non-difference between the Shakti and Shaktiman. At the same time, Shaktiman is not identical with Shakti in all respects. Shaktiman is independent. Shakti is dependent on Shaktiman, but Shaktiman is not dependent on Shakti. Brahma and Shiva are dependent on Vishnu, but Vishnu is not dependent on Brahma and Shiva. So Prabhupada says here, two words are very significant. Trayanam indicates three. So they are three and therefore they are separate, but at the same time they are one. That is the philosophy of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. So there is a simultaneous oneness because Brahma and Shiva, they come from Vishnu. Because they come from Vishnu, there is a oneness. At the same time, there is a difference because Vishnu is not identical with Brahma and Shiva. Brahma comes under the Jiva Tattva, Shiva comes under the Shiva Tattva, and Vishnu is under the Vishnu Tattva. Just like a yogurt and milk, yogurt comes from milk, therefore there is a non-difference between yogurt and milk. At the same time, there is difference between yogurt and milk. So in order to achieve peace, one should see everything and every living entity, including Brahma and Shiva, as non-different from the Supreme Lord. No one is independent. So everyone is an expansion of the Supreme Lord. This vision, this accounts for unity in diversity. There is a diversity. So there is a diversity in different types of living entities. But at the same time, there is a unity because all the living entities, all the devatas, they emanate from, they have their source in Vishnu. They have their source in Krishna. So seeing that how all the living entities, including Brahma and Shiva, are dependent on Vishnu. They arise from Vishnu. So you are seeing the oneness. At the same time, you are also seeing the difference because Vishnu is not identical with them in all respects. Vishnu is the supreme Brahman. Brahma and Shiva, they are the devatas. So this vision of unity in diversity, that is the vision of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Every one of us is an expansion of the Supreme Lord. There are diverse manifestations, but at the same time, they are one in Vishnu. They are all Vishnu's energy. Everyone is an expansion of Vishnu's energy. Another example of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. Suppose, say, Giriraj Sharan Prabhu is there. So suppose his recorded voice is being played. So then his friends or family members say, oh, here is Giriraj Sharan Prabhu. By seeing the voice, they're saying, oh, here is Prabhuji is here. So actually he's not there, but his recorded voice is there. Recorded voice is nothing but his energy. So by seeing that recorded voice, his energy, we say, oh, here is Giriraj Sharan Prabhu. But so because Shakti is identical with the Shaktiman, from that point of view, by seeing his Shakti recorded voice, one say he is there. At the same time, Shaktiman is not identical with Shakti in all respects. There is also a difference is there. It's not that the person is there, only his recorded voice is there. Recorded voice is not identical with the person in all respects. So there is a difference also. So you see the difference, at the same time you also see the oneness. Similarly, when you see different living entities, because all the living entities, there is a diversity. Somebody is a male, somebody is a female, somebody is a dog, somebody is a cat, somebody is from one community, another is from another community, different people speak different languages. You see the diversity. At the same time, you see that all these people are amshas of the Bhagavan. You see the unity in the sense that all of them are Jivatmas. The Jivatmas are the energies of Bhagavan. And you see that unity aspect. So to see the unity and diversity, and unity in diversity, that is the vision of Achintya Bheda Tattva. So Prabhupada explained that if you want to maintain the movement, our movement successfully, ensure that we apply the principle of unity in diversity. There is definitely diversity. Devotees from different background, different countries, different talents, different psychophysical nature. Diversity is there. At the same time, there is a unity that all of them are devotees of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Varnashram Dharma recognizes the diversity, and therefore Varnashram Dharma facilitates the diversity by giving the system of Varna and Ashrama. Different people have different psychophysical nature. Therefore, Varnashram Dharma tells a person, okay, you act as a Brahminical way, you act as perform the function of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. Varnashram recognizes the diversity and gives tells that, okay, you go through the different ashramas in your life. At the same time, the Bhagavata Dharma provides the uniting principle. What is the uniting principle? Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Atapumbir Dvijasreshta Varnashrama Vibhagashah Swanishtitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. The performance of the Varnashram duties is to please Hari. That is the uniting principle. So the combination of Varnashram Dharma, which facilitates diversity, and the Bhagavata Dharma, which provides the unity, that will maintain the movement successfully. So for the sake of unity, you cannot destroy the diversity. So because diversity is confusing, so let us stop the diversity. Let us not have Varnashram Dharma only. Everyone is same. Everyone is a Shudra. Everyone is this thing. Like that, let us have a classless society because it will create confusion, chaos. Let us have only unity. Let us have only Bhagavata Dharma. Like that people say. But it will not sustain because diversity is a natural is part of the nature. You cannot artificially suppress the diversity. And in the name of facilitating the diversity, if you don't emphasize the uniting principle, then the diversity will only, facilitating the diversity will only lead to so much of chaos, quarrel, fighting all the time. Like typical, so many places in India, based on the caste, there is so much of fight keeps happening. Because there is no uniting principle only. There is no uniting principle. So therefore, unity in diversity is a very important principle. And Prabhupada explains that the application of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva is by following the principle of unity in diversity. For example, say youth preaching. Different people may come up with the different innovative ideas for youth preaching. So diversity will be there. At the same time, unity is that ultimately what you want to preach. You want to preach Bhagavad Gita. You want to preach Bhagavatam, or Mahabharata. You want to preach the scriptures. In that, there is no diversity. You want to preach only the Shastra. There is only that's a common uniting principle. DT dressing. You cannot say, oh, every pujari, I will only choose the turban cloth and all the ornaments. They have to choose only whatever I have chosen. Only that ornaments and cloth, they have to use it. That means you are curtailing the diverse creative talents of the different pujaris. Everyone will want to have different choice of the turban cloth or the waist cloth or the different ornaments for the dress and different styles of dressing. So diversity has to be facilitated. At the same time, there are certain core principles which are uncompromising. You have to choose, say, a turban cloth matching to the dress. In matching the dress, there may be 25 varieties maybe of different shades, maybe options may be possible. But matching to the dress, you can use your creativity, but you cannot compromise that, oh, today Krishna will not have a peacock feather. In that, there is no compromise. They are core principle. You cannot say today, oh, Krishna doesn't feel like wearing dhoti. I will put only kurta. He wants to have a little free without any under this one. That is not a creativity. That is simply whimsical at this one. So in the name of diversity will be facilitated, but that will be regulated by certain uniting principle. There are certain core principles of DT dressing. So similarly, in preaching, there may be different people may want to preach in different ways. You cannot say only this example has to be used. Apart from that, no other example can be used. No, people may come up with a different creative examples. That has to be facilitated. But you cannot facilitate in the name of creativity something apart from the Shastra, some core concepts apart from the Shastra. Unity also has to be emphasized, which should be based on the principles of Shastra. So this particular shloka, 54th shloka, is also quoted in the Paramatma Sandarbha. Jiva Goswami quotes 4 shlokas from the Bhagavatam. So first I'll mention two shlokas, this 4.7.54 and 12.20.22, 12.10.22. I'll read that shloka. 12th canto, 10.22. Nate mai achyute jecha vidam anvapi chakshate natmanascha janasyapi tad yushman vayam imahi. Lord Shiva is speaking the shloka to Markandeya Rishi. These devotees do not differentiate between Vishnu, Brahma and me. Nor do they differentiate between themselves and other living beings. Therefore, because you are this kind of saintly devotee, we worship you. This 12.10.22 and the present shloka of the Bhagavatam, they speak about how there is no difference between Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So Jiva Goswami says that if there is no difference between Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, is it that there is no difference? All of them are identical. So he says in other Puranas, it is described that if one sees Brahma or Shiva as distinct from Vishnu, he goes to Naraka. And then he says it is true. But we also are not propounding a difference between them because we began this topic by saying that they are all forms of the Supreme Purusha and are therefore one. The meaning here is that although Shiva and Brahma are seen to have distinct natures, but in regard to the respective functions of dissolution and creation, they should not be considered as a separate supreme controllers independent of Vishnu in carrying out of these acts. Rather, they are in fact his own forms. Therefore, it is said that Bhagavan is situated in Brahma, in the form of Brahma, and so on. So, what is explained here is that this present Bhagavatam shloka and the 12th canto shloka, they seem to say there is absolutely no difference between Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So, that means are they completely identical? So, they are not completely identical. There is a difference, at the same time non-difference. There's a difference, at the same time non-difference. So Jiva Goswami says that Brahma and Shiva are not separate from Vishnu. At the same time, they have different roles with respect to creation and dissolution. They are not independent controllers, but manifestations of Vishnu for executing specific functions. But this does not mean that Brahma and Shiva are equal to Vishnu. They are not separate from Vishnu. At the same time, they are not equal to Vishnu. So Brahma and Shiva are not different from Vishnu, means that they are not independent of him. So therefore, even in the Bhagavad Gita, when we say Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. After many births, a truly knowledgeable person understands Lord Vasudeva to be all in all. Does it mean that he thinks the car to be Vasudeva, table to be Vasudeva, mobile phone to be Vasudeva, to be Vasudeva in all respects? No, it means that everything is a energy of Vasudeva. Nothing is independent of Vasudeva. At the same time, they are not equal to Vasudeva. That is the understanding. So, and also, yeah, these two shlokas are quoted by Jiva Goswami. So just like to consider Brahma and Shiva to be independent of Vishnu is an offense. Similarly, to consider Brahma and Shiva to be identical to Vishnu, that is also offense. Therefore, the right vision is that Brahma and Shiva are not independent of Vishnu, at the same time they are not equal to Vishnu. That is the right way. That is the right understanding. So there are also explicit statements declaring that it is highly improper to consider Brahma and Shiva as equal to Vishnu. So these apparently contradictory scriptural declaration, that is, one should not consider Shiva or Brahma as different from Vishnu. This is one scriptural injunction. Another injunction is that one should not see Brahma and Shiva equal to Vishnu. Both are scriptural injunctions. So they must be reconciled in order to establish their real intent. So that requires proper understanding. That requires proper understanding that Brahma and Shiva are not independent of Vishnu, or at the same time they are not equal to Vishnu in all respects. Brahma is a Jiva Tattva, Shiva is a Shiva Tattva, and Vishnu is a Vishnu Tattva. Okay, we will. So with this, Lord Vishnu is instructing Daksha, because you saw difference between Shiva and me, therefore you offended Shiva. Lord Vishnu is reminding the last few shlokas of this chapter and also this episode. Somebody can repeat. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha.
Evam Bhagavatadishta.
Evam Bhagavatadishta.
Prajapatipatir Harim.
Prajapatipatir Harim.
Architva Kratuna Svena.
Architva Kratuna Svena.
Devan Ubayato Yajat.
Devan Ubayato Yajat. Translation. The sage Maitreya said, thus Daksha, the head of all Prajapatis, having been nicely instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshipped Lord Vishnu. After worshipping him by performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, Daksha separately worshipped Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva.
So here, in this way, Daksha Prajapati being instructed by the Lord, Evam Bhagavata Adishtaha. After worshipping the Lord through a specific sacrifice, he worshipped the Devatas by main and subsidiary sacrifices. He worshipped the Devatas also. He worshipped Vishnu and then he also worshipped the Devatas, including Shiva. So you don't respect Krishna by disrespecting the limbs of Krishna. You don't respect Krishna by simply respecting the limbs. Both are pardon. You don't respect the father by disrespecting his son. And you don't respect the father by simply respecting the son and not caring for the father on. Both have to be there. So therefore, one of the items of sadhana bhakti is that not disrespecting the devatas. So here Prabhupada explains that Vishnu should be offered the first bhoga and then the Vishnu prasad should be given to the devatas. Even now, if you go to Bhuvaneshwar, Ananta Vasudev prasad is offered to, I think, Lingaraj. Or the Jagannath prasad is offered to the later to the devatas. In Udupi, the temples established by Madhvacharya, when they are doing Abhishek of Lord Shiva, on top of Lord Shiva, the Shaligram Shila would be kept. That means the first Abhishek would be poured on the Shaligram Shila and then it would pour on the Linga. The Vaishnava does not deride even the ordinary living entities, including the small land. Everyone is offered respect according to the position, but the offering always in relation to the center, Krishna or Vishnu. The devotee who is highly elevated sees the relationship to Krishna in everything. He does not see anything as being independent of Krishna. This is a very important statement. One of the nature of an advanced devotee is that he sees the relationship to Krishna in everything. He does not see anything as being independent of Krishna. That is the vision of oneness. An advanced devotee will see even politics in relation to Krishna. He can see artificial intelligence also in relation to Krishna. IT in relation to Krishna. Whatever, so many other things. One does not see anything as being independent of Krishna. That is the vision of an advanced devotee. Next shloka. Rudram cha svena bhagena
रुद्रं च स्वेन भागेन
kyupadavat samahitah
पाधावत् समाहितः
karmano davasanena
कर्मणोदवसानेन
somapanitaranapि
सोमपानितगानपि
udavasya sahartvigbi
उदवस सहत्विग्भिः
sasna avabrutam tatah
सस्नाव वभूथम ततः. Translation. With all respect, Daksha worshipped Lord Shiva with his share of the remnants of the yajna. After finishing the ritualistic sacrificial activities, he satisfied all the other demigods and the other people assembled there. Then, after finishing all these duties with the priests, he took a bath and was fully satisfied.
So now Daksha is rectifying his mistake. Rudram cha svena bhagena kyupadavat samahitah. With concentrated mind, he worshipped Shiva with his share. The same Daksha who pronounced the curse to Shiva that he will not be able to accept the sacrificial offerings. Now he is properly worshipping Shiva. And then worshipped other devatas. And then he took the Avabruta bath. So Avabruta Snana is that after completing the ritual, a person is supposed to take this Avabruta Snana. So, whatever prasad is offered to Vishnu is offered to everyone, even to Shiva. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection, Svena Bhagena, the remnants of Yajna are offered to all the devatas. Tasmapyapyanu bhavena.
Tasma api anubhavena
Svenaivaaptaradase
स्वैनैवावाप्तराधसे
dharma eva matim dattva
धर्म एव मतिं दत्त्वा
tridashaste divam yayuhu.
त्रिदशास्ते दिवं ययुः. Translation. Thus worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu by the ritualistic performance of sacrifice, Daksha was completely situated on the religious path. Moreover, all the demigods who had assembled at the sacrifice blessed him that he might increase his piety, and then they left.
So tasma anubhavena svenai va svena eva avapta radase. Dharma eva matim datva tridashaste divam yayuhu. After giving Daksha intelligence to act according to Dharma, Dharma eva matim datva. And after he had already attained perfection by worshipping the Lord, the Devatas departed for heaven. Three dashas te divam yayuhu. Devatas gave blessings to Daksha who had attained perfection. Avapta radase. Evam dakshayani hitva
Evam dakshayani hitva
sati purvakalevaram
sati purvakalevaram
jagne himavata kshetre
jatne himavatat kshetre
menayamiti shushruma.
menayamati shushruma. Translation. Maitreya said, I have heard that after giving up the body she had received from Daksha, Dakshayani, his daughter, took her birth in the kingdom of Himalayas. She was born as the daughter of Mena. I heard this from authoritative sources.
So Maitreya is telling that Sati, she gave up her body and then later she took birth at the kingdom of the Himalayas as the daughter of Menaka. Menaka is the wife of the king of the Himalayas. Tameva dayitam bhuya avrante patimambika ananya bhavaika gatim shakti supteva purusham. Ambika, who was also known as Dakshayani, because Sati.
Please mute yourself, Mayur Prabhuji.
So Sati is the eternal consort of Lord Shiva. So again, when she was born as the daughter of Menaka, again he accepted Lord Shiva as her husband. Ananya bhavaika gatim shakti supteva purusham. Just as different energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act during the course of a new creation. So according to a verse of the Vedic mantras, Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate, the Supreme Lord has varieties of energies. Shakti is feminine and the Lord is the Purusha. It is the duty of the female to serve under the Supreme Purusha. All the living entities are the marginal energies of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is the duty of all living entities to serve the Supreme Person. The connection of Shiva and Ambika is eternal. Sati could not accept any husband but Lord Shiva. So how Lord Shiva remarried Durga as Himavati and how Kartikeya was born is a great story in itself. Yetat Bhagavata Shambhu Karma Dakshadvara Druhaha Shrutam Bhagavatat Shishyad Uddhavan me Brihaspatehe. So Maitreya is telling that I heard this story of Daksha Yajna from Uddhava, a great devotee and a disciple of Brihaspati. Uddhavan me Brihaspatehe. Shrutam Bhagavata Shishya. Then the last shloka, somebody can repeat. Idam pavitram paramisha cheshtitam.
Pavitram paramesha cheshtitam
Yashasyamayushyamagauga marshanam.
yashasyamayushyamagauga marshanam
Yo nityada kanya naronu kirtayed.
यो नित्यदा कर्ण्यधरोऽनु कीर्तयेत्
दुनोत्यगं कौरवभक्तिभावतः
शृणोत्यघं कौरवभक्तिभावतः. The great sage Maitreya concluded, if one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion this story of the Daksha Yagna as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence, O son of Kuru.
So, Falastuti of this entire episode, one who constantly hears Vishnu's and Shiva's pure activities, which give fame, yashasyam, ayushyam, and a long life, agauga marshanam, and destroy piles of sin. And one who narrates the story with devotion, bhakti bhavata, such a person also destroys all his sin. So with this end the Daksha Yajna. So next week we will begin another one of the most famous episodes of the Bhagavatam, the story of Dhruva Maharaj, which will be beginning in the 8th chapter. In the initial section of the 8th chapter will be Adharma family. After that, the Dhruva Maharaj family story will start. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions, comments?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. We had done it in I think Bhagavad Sandarbha also, right? That Narayan is unsure of Krishna. The whole chapter we had done. Jiva Goswami speaks about it, as how when you said about the demigods, that unity in diversity.
Yes.
Narayan is unsure of Krishna, and then whole chapter we did on it. So Prabhuji, you are not doing now such sandarbhas?
We have to begin again. Some of I got occupied with other things. We will begin full again. We'll see. We'll start. Okay. We'll stop here. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.